Today, I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement.
Sellout sing.
Canadians are fighting a battle for the future of the middle class.
Sellout sing.
Justin Trudeau has proven again and again he will always cave to corporate greed.
Sellout sing.
The Liberals have let people down. They don't deserve another chance.
Sellout sing.
There is an even bigger battle ahead. The threat of Pierre Poilievre and conservative cuts.
Then commit today to voting for a carbon tax election at the earliest confidence vote in the House of Commons. And sellout sing.
Yo, like, this is the thing, fam. Like, yo, like, ever since I've been on the six, but like, I realized I didn't really like the Jews. You know what I mean? Like, so when I see the Israel-Gaza thing, like, I'm like trying to fight the disinformation, but I'm also kind of like the disinformation. You know what I mean? Like, I see the video from Syria from 2012 of a kid buried in rubble. I'm like, yo, that's some crazy video of right now. You know what I mean? And you should believe that too, because the Jews are evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the CEOs of all the grocery companies are Jews. You know, Galen Weston, he's a Jew, and all the other people are Jewish. So if you're Jewish, that's bad, because like, yo, you have so much money, and like, all of us need that money, because like, we're poor, and like, all my supporters, they're on welfare.
What did they say has been disrupting this operation?
A variety of different tools, according to the Department of Justice, more sophisticated, more elaborate than previous attempts by Russia to interfere with U.S. elections. Let's start with RT, which is a state-owned Russian media company that, according to the Department of Justice, was trying to spread far and wide Russian disinformation.
Улица Саперная, Тигр. 2 штуки пока вижу. 3 ползет, солдаты. Крадутся.
Yeah, so I mean, Kamala is very clearly part of the same DNC crowd that includes Biden, includes Obama, includes the Clintons. These kind of Democrat politicians who like frame themselves in terms of rhetoric as progressive, but in actuality, when you look at their policies, at best they're like center right, like at best, you know. And so it's really no surprise that she would have BlackRock so intimately involved in developing her economic policy, because as I mentioned earlier, BlackRock is really a bipartisan economic advisor. So for example, Larry Fink used to manage Trump's personal fortune, and he was tapped specifically by Trump in the lead up to COVID to help develop the government's fiscal response to COVID. But really, it wasn't a fiscal response to COVID so much as a fiscal response to the U.S. government's lockdown.
Several reported cases of West Nile virus here in New York City so far. Authorities will be out spraying the city tonight and tomorrow. With the mosquito population growing, health officials are warning to remain vigilant.
This morning, several towns across the Northeast on alert, some even closing outdoor public areas and issuing voluntary curfews to prevent the spread of potentially dangerous mosquito-borne illnesses. The country's well-known infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, hospitalized after contracting West Nile virus.
Мене лякають мобілізацією. І що мене, жінку, теж туди заберуть. Хай беруть. Там же їх є. Я поїду на війну, завагітнію і повернуся в декрет. Зроблю свій вклад у перемогу. Нас більше, їх менше.
Из чего же сделаны наши мужчины? Из татушек и проколотых ушек? Из иллюзий и банановых смузи сделаны наши мужчины? Из яркого грима и стримов? Из сладких пирожных и брендов одежных сделаны наши мужчины? Из чего сделан ты? Присоединяйся к тем, кто сделан из чести, доблести и мужества. Присоединяйся к своим.
Слава землі.
Героям слава!
Слава Україна.
Героям слава.
Слава Кутілі говорить.
Героям слава.
Слава Україна.
Героям слава!
Слава Україна.
Так. Героям слава!
Слава Україна.
Героям слава.
Слава Україна. Слава Україна.
Героям слава.
Слава Україна.
Героям слава.
Слава Україна.
Героям слава!
Слава Україна.
Героям слава.
Слава Україна.
Героям слава! Вот хочу вам показать в свете нашей рубрики, наших пленных, вот наших новых пленных. У вас было человек? 10. В общей сложности из вас 10 человек?
8.
8.
Вот я и он.
Вы живых остались,
Там еще
остальные?
кто-то остальные.
Ну, вот из этой толпы живыми остались только вы. Грамотно вас взяли, да? Я знаю, мои ребята получили рацию на руки. После этого они позвали вас в гости. Вас, как говорится, приняли. Грамотно ребята сработали.
Да.
Вот, правильно. Понятно. Ну и вот вопрос у меня. Что бы вы хотели порекомендовать своим товарищам, которые еще живы, находятся на той стороне? Что бы вы посоветовали?
Мы бы посоветовали, чтобы
Поломал себе ногу или мощность.
не воевали тут. Получается, нас обманным путем сюда завезли, и мы только мобилизированы.
Мнение приходит только через смерть. Вот, пожалуйста, идешь ты убивать русню и оказываешься вот здесь. Вот что бы ты хотел сказать вот этой русне, оркам? Это мы, орки, это мы, русня.
Я ошибался.
Ты ошибался, да, видишь? А вот осознание своей ошибки приходит слишком поздно, к сожалению. Видишь?
A group of migrants tried to board a school bus this morning while it was traveling to a school. The superintendent for the Humboldt del Zura Union School District informed parents of that incident earlier today. It happened at one of the stops on the school district's bus route that heads to Oak Grove Middle School and Humboldt Primary. Meanwhile, yesterday afternoon, in a similar area along another route, the superintendent says that a group of migrants tried to stop another bus. Border Patrol, CHP, and the Sheriff's Office have now been informed of these incidents. The superintendent says that for the safety of everyone, if a driver sees a group of migrants at a bus stop, they will drive past it and move on to the next.
Bisogna dirlo con chiarezza. C'è chi opera sistematicamente e con ogni mezzo per respingere i migranti. Per respingere i migranti. E questo, quando è fatto con coscienza e responsabilità, è un peccato grave. Il Signore è con i nostri migranti nel mare nostro. Il Signore è con loro, non con quelli che li respingono. In quei mari e in quei deserti mortali i migranti diosi non dovrebbero esserci, e ce ne sono purtroppo. Ma non è attraverso leggi più restrittivi non è con la militarizzazione delle frontiere, non è con i respingimenti che otterremo questo risultato. Lo otterremo invece ampliando le vie di accesso sicure e le vie di accesso regolari per i migranti, facilitando
These people were going into hospital. They had not taken the COVID-19 shot. And this is really important because every single person that sat on that bus or virtual story, I asked them the question, first of all, did you take the COVID-19 shot? No, they did not. And it was becoming increasingly clear that the unvaccinated, as they're called, were being targeted and they were being killed. And the people who were speaking to me used the word murder. It seems to me, Mike, that you came into hospital, and the first question they asked, did you take the shot? And if they said yes, they did take the shot, they went and got different treatments. The ones who did not take the shot, unvaccinated, were straight into remdesivir, ventilation, fentanyl, a cocktail of drugs, and killed on those ventilators. And we have coders and whistleblowers, people working inside the hospital, telling us that they were just jabbing people for this COVID test, and they would keep going over and over again until they got a positive. The minute they got a positive, tick that box, that's some money. On to the next thing, remdesivir, big tick for that. And they were showing us on the death medical records how much they were getting paid for every single drug and cocktail and equipment that was used on them. And it was $500,000 plus per person. Big money. And as one person told me, my daughter was worth more dead than alive, and they took her.
Because he's the best for the country. Because he's the best for the country. Look at this weird guy. He's never lifted a weight in his life. They call us weird. Are you really gonna hit me? Are you really gonna hit me? You wanna go to jail for assault? You look like Thomas Crooks. You look like Thomas Crooks. You're crazy. You better get out of here before you get your ass kicked. What a psycho. You're about to go viral, motherfucker. We got that on camera. Little soy boy.
You better thank a union member for sick leave.
Why are you talking like that?
You better thank a union member for paid leave.
You know, back before the war broke out, I was a saucier in San Antonio.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. Hello.
I bet I could call up some of them greens. Yeah, noodle some crawfish out the patio.
Black people will never accept Rabbi Shmuley after Michael Jackson put him on a list of people who he felt were ruining his life. So you can stop your pleas with Black America, they won't work. Now, going back to the context of what you've asked us to speak about today, you know, I think one of the things that the world is recognizing and what we've always recognized is that there are radical fringe sects that break out within every single religion, amongst every race. There's white supremacy, there's black supremacy, there's radical Islam, there are all of these Christ cults around the world. And I think right now it's important for people to understand that radical Judaism is also a thing, and you're watching an example of it right now on your screen. The person sitting across from me, or sitting next to me, I guess, posted on his Facebook page in 2016 a tribute to someone who he said was his mentor. That was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He said he was his mentor and his friend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rabbi Schneerson, there were some Jews who believed that he was and is the Messiah. So rejecting Christ, but believing that that rabbi was his Messiah. Now, you may remember in the news recently, there was this radicalized faction of the Lubavitch Orthodox community in Brooklyn that were digging tunnels in Brooklyn and hurling benches at police officers. Well, and by the way, this is per the Times of Israel, that faction of individuals are followers of Rabbi Schneerson. So again, you have Rabbi Shmuley who believes that that's his mentor. They believed that he was the Messiah. It becomes important to understand, what did Rabbi Schneerson preach? Well, he preached Jewish supremacism, the hatred of all non-Jews. And you don't have to take my word for it, because if I said it, they would say that's anti-Semitism. You should instead take the word of the two Jewish professors who translated his work. Those authors' names were Israel Shahak and Norton Mezvinsky, and their book was entitled Jewish Fundamentalism in Israel. From that book, we learned that Shmuley's mentor, Schneerson, describes the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. And he says, quote, "Thus we do not have a case of profound change in which a person is merely on a superior level. The body of a Jewish person is of totally different quality from the body of all nations of the world." And he talks about the substance of the Jewish body versus the substance of non-Jews, saying that the inner quality, quote, is so different and so great that the body should be considered completely different species. So that is a belief, and you can go through his speeches and you will see that he continually talks about how non-Jews should be treated and that, again, we are a different species. This is what Rabbi Shmuley believes in. We have to come to terms with the fact that there are Jewish radicals, and it's incumbent upon the Jewish community to call them out. I'm glad that you brought up my rhetoric about Black Lives Matter, the organization, which was basically allowing black criminals to take to the street to burn down, to loot, and to riot in the name of racism, because it shows that I'm on equal footing here, that across the board, I do not support supremacism, whether it's coming from my community or whether or not it is coming from yours. And I think the entire world is now paying attention and wondering what is going on in Israel. What is this government? Is this a radical fringe government? And many people are concluding that the answer to that question is yes.